Well, hello. Welcome back again. Welcome back to the Defence Risks. I'm Jody, and today we're doing day 5 of the Jose RUIZ trial. And unfortunately, it's about a 5-year-old girl who met her demise at the hands, allegedly, of the mother's boyfriend, Jose RUIZ. So I'm going to begin with a little tribute to Mercedes Victoria Lozoya, who is the victim in this case, because that's the most important thing, and we need to remember that. So let's get into it, shall we? All right, that's beautiful little Mercedes Victoria Lozoya, who died at age 5. So today, as I said, it's day 5 of the Jose RUIZ trial. I'd like to thank KSAT News and Judge Boyd for their amazing coverage of this trial. So head on over to their YouTube channel. The link is in the description below, and like and subscribe to their channel because they have some amazing content. So we finished up yesterday with the Chief Medical Examiner, and this morning, the state or prosecution officially rests, and it's the beginning of the defence's case. Now, having watched the first 4 days of this, maybe you'll get an understanding of just how inept the defense counsel is. I think I referred to them as the convalescent counsel. So to say that this is a little bit of a shit show is probably an understatement, but we shall proceed and endure together. All right, so this is the beginning of day 5. Let's go.
All right, everyone, please be seated. I hope everyone was able to find parking easily. All right, defense, call your witness.
Judge, Your Honor, I don't believe we have officially arrested this
All right.
arrest.
All right. Defense, call your first witness.
State just officially rested.
State calls Mr. Adame.
All right. If you can raise your right hand, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do, Your Honor.
All right, you can lower your hand. Just make sure you keep your voice up for members of the jury and the court report. If you'll state your name for the record, please.
Anthony Adame.
All right, defense.
Anthony Adame was
Good morning, Mr. Adame. We've met before.
called on the very
Yes,
first day, and
Since
he's been
the
recalled by the
time that you were
defense.
here before, have you reviewed any records from CPS?
No, ma'am.
And you did know you were subject to the call, is that correct?
Just as an update, this gentleman is the specialised investigations unit of the CPS who began the investigation into Mercedes' death. So he wasn't involved in any of the previous CPS proceedings that were present against the mother for the 5 years prior. He wasn't involved in any of that. His journey began with the investigation of her death.
Yes, ma'am.
Just to put it in
Direct your
context.
attention to the last interview that Heather Bryant had with the Sawyer family.
Welcome
As
to
far
those
as you know, she never examined
Hello,
Mercedes' body that day.
Calm down.
Ma'am, I do not have personal knowledge of that. I was not there that day when Heather Bryant conducted that body check.
Look at that. Oh God, we're working already. Right.
Get who gets you. eHarmony.
Maybe I need to relog in.
Your Honor, I'd like to show Defense Exhibit 2, which are the CPS records, all 6,015 of them. They're on a thumb disk here.
Have you laid foundation for those?
Show.
You know the procedure for submitting documents in as evidence. You don't
My
just go,
notion
here,
is
6,000
there's been no
pages.
foundation laid. It's hearsay.
All right. With regards to viewing the records, he is allowed to view the records.
Oh,
and
hello, Missy Moo Moo.
Respond to any objections as to hearsay. With regards to foundation and relevancy, that's going to be sustained. So you'll need to lay the foundation, what's the purpose, and you'll need to show that it's relevant by asking this witness questions.
Have you ever seen the entire file, Mr. Munoz?
I'm not Mr. Munoz, ma'am.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Forgive me, Mr. Adame. I'm sorry. Have you ever seen the whole file?
I have glanced through the file, yes, ma'am. But particularly paying attention to what I was involved in.
Is that the whole story with CPS? Only people only handle what they're involved in, not the whole case, not the whole person?
There is different divisions in Child Protective Services. The division that you're talking about with Heather Bryant is the Child Protection Investigation, CPI is what it's called. She is in a different section of Child Protective Services other than myself. We don't answer to the same supervisor, so to speak.
Is there any chain that follows the child all the way through?
I think it's more of a collective, and we all have bits and pieces, ma'am. So when Mercedes Lozoya died, I came into that piece of the puzzle to investigate predominantly just her child death.
Did you bring anything with you in terms of knowledge to the death scene, to the hospital where the child was pronounced dead?
Just my training and experience from previous child death investigations, ma'am.
So you didn't know about any of the history, is that right?
Whenever I was called to the scene, no, ma'am. I called San Antonio Police Department that was on scene, and then I responded.
Your group is called Child Protective Services, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you do to protect a child from being killed?
I'm going to object to relevance.
The specialist investigator.
What do you do to protect a child?
Not before.
Object to relevance.
She asked the same question about 5 times, just in different
What do
ways.
your job duties entail?
And so offside of whispers in
My
her
job
ear.
duties as a special investigator, I conduct investigations into child death involving abuse and neglect. I conduct any kind of serious incidents such as, or serious injuries such as broken skulls, broken bones, burns of no nature that can be really explained that involve abuse and neglect. I've worked in labor trafficking cases involving children, sex trafficking cases involving children. I've been
I
involved
would
in
really hate
cases
to be in this
involving
guy's brain.
law enforcement, involving our own employees, school personnel who perpetrate on children at school, in addition to some of the investigations involving our foster children in Child Protective Services.
But you did nothing personally to save Mercedes Lozoya.
Object to relevance and argument then.
Did you do anything personally to save Mercedes Lozoya?
Object to relevance.
Your Honor, we're here about Mercedes Lozoya, just argument in terms of that. We're here because of Mercedes Lozoya, and it's not relevant what was done to protect her?
The objection has been
He is
sustained.
relevant, but he's the wrong person to ask. Hang on, that's just
Do you
disturbing.
recall the last person to,
Just hold on. That is just disturbing.
Here's the thing, asshole.
Yes, ask the right fucking witness. Let's keep going, shall we?
interview or
Nicholas says it way better than I do.
confer with the family of Mercedes?
Which are you referring to her paternal side or her maternal side?
Whoever had her. Do you know who had her?
The maternal side, our mother, Katrina Mendoza.
What was done?
That's not his job.
What was done with what, ma'am? I'm trying to understand your question.
So patient with her.
Mercedes Lasoya, was she the subject of the investigations? Or was it Katrina?
She was listed as a victim in that investigation. And in this particular one, the last one, Katrina Mendoza was listed as the alleged perpetrator.
Try Hungry Jack's new range made with Kit Kat, the soft, creamy, chocolatey storm, and new barista iced drinks made with Kit Kat.
Today, so that I didn't get any ads.
Drive it to
in those
Clubhouse.
bugs, and
Seamless payments for refills.
So your job is just follow up when it's all over.
Oh
Is that right?
no,
In
you
this-
didn't.
I know you've given descriptions, but from what I see of your involvement, it was only to follow up when it was over. Is that
No,
wrong?
that's when it began.
What was
for him.
over, ma'am?
The child's life. She was dead.
Mercedes' life, Mercedes Lasoya's life, when she passed away.
Thank you.
Yes, I came into the piece of the puzzle to investigate why she died, what were the circumstances that led to her death, and to figure out all that information entailing her death.
Is there any path within CPS to ensure something like this doesn't happen again?
Object to relevant.
Sustained.
Yes, there was probably a lot more that they could have done prior to,
Specifically, what
not
behavior
when the gentleman was involved.
is required of a CPS person to help any child?
Object to relevant.
Sustained. Laura, I'd like to introduce this. Have you seen any of these records? These 6,015 pages?
Can you clarify what these records are?
If I could show them. Thank you.
Told you. You would. Shit show.
Judge, do I have permission to move along the well?
Yes.
Thank you.
What was that?
Go ahead. I just asked for permission to move.
Be sure to keep your voices up.
It's not detective, it's just special investigator. Start from here and go down.
Yes.
What, they want him to review all 6,000 pages now? That is the defendant, Jose
No.
Ruiz. forward to when it's finished looking. Okay. And go.
You didn't look at all 6,015 pages, right?
I was scrolling through most of them. Yes, ma'am.
Did you see a claim in there where there was any connective tissue that would follow through?
I'm gonna object if we can testify to anything in the record that we're not in there.
All right, that's gonna be overruled. You can answer the question if you know the answer to the question.
Object to relevant.
All right, you can answer the question if you know the answer to the question.
Tell it, Doug.
Ma'am, the connective tissue is maybe that it's Mercedes Lozoya, it's Jordan Lozoya, and her mother, Katrina Mendoza.
Yes.
And then I also seen their father as well.
So, was it helpful for you to see them at all?
Helpful in what way, ma'am?
In that you're able to understand what's going on with this case other than the death of Mercedes?
Again, ma'am, my focus was in on the child death portion of that.
Maybe I asked for the wrong witness. Who would I ask for that has the overall picture on how to save
Are
a
you the
child?
defense attorney or not?
Object to relevant.
Sustained,
Who should I have called instead of you?
I'm gonna object to relevant.
sustained.
To keep lying and delaying and being a complete clusterfuck.
Best witness.
Any questions?
Just one, Judge. Mr. Donny, you mentioned that Katrina Mendoza was an alleged perpetrator. Were there any other alleged perpetrators?
I'm
Yes,
sorry, I didn't understand that question. Mr. Director.
I said you testified that Katrina Mendoza was an alleged perpetrator. Isn't it true that Jose Ruiz was also an alleged perpetrator?
yes, ma'am.
Have the witness.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, is this witness
Oh, that was
excused?
Yes, from the state.
that was
I've
definitely
always
worthwhile
pushed my body
recalling
to
that
the limit.
witness, wasn't it?
Michael Clint has just
Right.
broken.
The ad. Okay, so now the next witness is defense witness number 2, and it is Dr. Rajesh Kannon. He is the deputy chief medical examiner at the Bexar County Medical Examiner's Office in Texas, and he's the doctor that did the autopsy. So he's testifying via Zoom, and he starts at 26. And there we go.
Okay, and my name is Teresa Conlon.
No, call your witness, counsel.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right,
I'd like to call Dr. Kannon.
all right, you may be seated. Dr. Kanan, can you raise your right hand for me?
The state has rested. They have had all of their witnesses. They finished up yesterday with the chief medical examiner, and today is the defense side giving their side of the story. So all of the witnesses from today are called by the defense. Now, when you have a trial like this and you're defending someone, generally both sides, all their witnesses obviously have to be included into the discovery package, and they all have a deposition done to retain all the information. So this incident happened back in 2022. So they would have all been deposed back then to retain their memories, and then they come and get subpoenaed for testimony at the trial. So that's what normally happens. The way that the defense counsel in this particular trial behaves is like they have never seen or heard these witnesses before, especially from the state, and have no idea what they are testifying about and what they're going to testify to. So a lot of the state's witnesses in the first 4 days, the defense counsel actually asked them to do what's called a voir dire. So they excused the jury from the room. They asked them questions, and they want to hear what responses that they're going to give so that they know what to ask when the jury are present. So that's what tells me that they haven't seen any of the depositions or any of the information. And the questions that the defense ask their own witnesses even are just bizarre. They focus on things that, in my opinion, are completely and totally irrelevant. So, yes, this gentleman, and every witness, I must say, is very, very patient with her, except for the 911 operator. You could see her face. That was hysterical. That's back on day 2. That's good, worth checking out. But, yeah, this is the medical examiner that did the autopsy and is getting cross-examined. So it's her witness. She's called him to offer information for her client, who is the defendant. So let's see how she goes.
All right, please. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
All right, you can lower your hand. State your name for the record, please.
Yes, my first name is Rajesh, R-A-J-E-S-H. Last name Kannon, K-A-N-N-A-N.
All right, this witness is appearing by Zoom. Any objection to the witness appearing by Zoom? State.
No objection, no.
Defense, any objection to the
No
witness
objection.
appearing by Zoom?
No objection.
Mr. Ruiz, any objection to this witness appearing by Zoom? All right, defense.
Morning, sir.
Good morning.
You're here specifically regarding the autopsy that you performed on Mercedes Lozoya on February 8th of 2022. She died on the 7th, but it's my understanding you performed the autopsy on the 8th. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and do you have those papers in front of you?
Yes, I do.
Going through this the whole record, which is extensive, your first contact about this case was with whom?
It's really when I saw the case.
Do you recall speaking with Detective Lawrence Size?
It's probably at the time of autopsy,
When was the time of autopsy?
on February the 8th, 2022.
At what time?
It's about 9 a.m.
And how long did it last?
As long as it
Probably a few hours.
You don't remember specifically with this one?
No, ma'am.
Is it noted on the form anywhere? I didn't notice it.
See?
No, it just
How long-
whenever we finish.
How long's a piece of string? It
I'm
takes
sorry,
as long as
what
it
did you say?
takes.
Whenever we finish.
Whenever you finish.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily notice when you finish, though.
No, we don't.
Who cares?
Menu Log's delivering a free Zinger burger with any KFC boxed meal. Go steal this $1 deal.
I take that back.
So, when you started the autopsy, imagine, did you observe the outside of the child's body first, or did you go inside? Where's your procedure?
Oh, no, it's a routine to look from top to bottom, outside, document, take photographs, and then we'll look inside.
Did you reach any conclusions from the observation outside?
I did the observation outside, yes.
Did you make a decision based on what you saw?
No, ma'am, we have to go inside and then wait for every test, and then we have to decide.
What kind of test were you waiting for?
In this particular case, I did do additional microscopic examination of the tissue.
Which tissue was that? A particular place?
Yes, we did the comprehensive study on all the tissues, the major organs, including heart, lungs, liver, adrenal gland, pancreas, spleen, thymus, intestines, and then also the kidneys, portion of the skin. And the kidneys, I did additional tests for a stain for myoglobin, which is myoglobin.
Now, when you performed the autopsy, you didn't have any prior information, is that correct?
Prior information.
Prior to that child being on your table?
No, Jackson.
No, it all started at the time of autopsy and after the autopsy. We met with the
Excuse
detectives.
me, Dr. Cannon, I know you're probably having difficulty hearing, but when an objection is made, I'm gonna need you to stop talking so I can make a ruling on the objection. And attorneys, you
Okay.
need to use your microphones. All right, you may continue, Dr. Cannon.
It's at the time of autopsy and after.
Who was present with you when you performed the autopsy?
It's from the law enforcement. I believe it's Detective Saint, but I could be others. I can't remember.
It's not specifically noted who was there?
No, ma'am.
This is exactly what I don't understand, what I'm talking about. She's asking meaningless, pointless questions like, what time did the autopsy finish? Who was there watching it? I just, maybe it's just me.
When you looked at Mercedes, when you looked at her, you didn't have any initial first impressions?
Object to leading.
That'll be overruled. You can answer.
Yes. Yes. First impression is yes. This child suffered trauma.
How much trauma?
Well, it's extensive from top to bottom, all over the body.
Was Dr. Molina present when you were doing this?
Object.
No.
All right, that'll be overruled. You can answer.
No, ma'am. No.
She was not present.
Dr. Molina is the
No.
chief medical examiner who testified yesterday.
When you do an autopsy, do you have anybody helping you?
No, it's just me.
And possibly Detective Size?
Yes, if they come for observation, we allow them because they are the lead law enforcement agency.
Today, Junior.
There was evidence of medical intervention. Your notes indicate defibrillator pads are present on the chest wall.
She went
Yes,
to the
ma'am.
hospital.
Near puncture is present just above the right knee.
Correct.
And intro,
Osseous.
thank you. Needle is inserted in the left shin. And
Yes.
that indicated that somebody tried to save the child.
Yeah, it's from the hospital. It's very routine to see this.
All right, now, the first thing note I have here is that the head. What do you recall about Mercedes' head?
Yes, I listed on each section because the injuries are pretty all over. So the head had a lot of abrasions or scrapes, and on the front, back, cheek, and also the back had a small a tear of the skin as well.
Where was that, sir?
Back of the skull.
In the back of the head,
The top? What part of the back?
in the back, in the back.
Just plain old center back, or
Yes,
what do you think that was from? Could you tell?
it's a blunt trauma.
Blunt trauma?
Yes.
Would you have considered that a cause of death?
No, that's not alone as a cause of death.
That's the cause of
But
death.
was it significant enough that potentially it could have been a cause of death?
Like I said, we don't infer just on one small tear. It's the overall picture which matters.
Yes.
Yes.
So that
Like
tear
no.
wasn't enough to give you a distinct impression at that point. Is that fair to say?
No, not at this point, no.
You talked about Mercedes lip, a broad 5 by 3 centimeter area of erosion with overlaying line superficial layer of thin tan granulation tissue. What does that mean, granulation tissue?
It's,
Tissue that's repairing itself.
Sorry, I'm objecting to reading from a document that's not in evidence.
It's part of the healing
All right, that'll be
process.
overruled.
yeah, what it means is it's a tissue trying to heal.
Should have been a
What
nurse.
part of the face was it?
It's on the inner side of the lip.
Inside her lip.
Yes.
Could you ascertain what the source of that injury was?
That's not his job.
No, you can't tell.
Like a child biting the inside of their mouth?
No, it's not biting. It could be any kind of trauma on top of the lip.
Did you notice some missing teeth?
Yes, I did.
Do you remember how many?
A few.
Was it unusual for a child of this age to have missing teeth?
I mean, one is, we can happen if they fall, but quite a few with overlaying trauma with different stages of healing is not common. It indicates there is some repeated trauma.
For how long a period?
It's probably days.
Days?
Yes, ma'am.
These were her baby teeth, as we play people call them. Was that what
Yes,
was
it's,
in here?
yes, that's right.
Forgive me with these words, but present on the proximal mid-occipital scalp head are 2 contusions measuring 2 by 3 centimeters. What
Well,
is that?
The front.
It's on the back of the head are contusions or bruised.
Is it
Were these
proximal, not
recent?
distal?
They appear recent because
And when we say recent, are you talking in terms of hours, days?
I would say days.
Have you, at this point in time, begun to formulate a cause of death in your mind?
No.
No, because these are complicated case, and we need to gather all the information.
It would make him
Why was it
biased to do that.
Because when I also need to look inside the body, not just outside.
But that's,
And inside the head, I did not see any obvious immediate cause of death.
so it was not, is it fair to say it was not the focus of your examination, her head?
Head is a main part of the examination, but I also look at other cavities like chest and abdomen.
The abdomen.
Oh, light bulb moment. The abdomen.
You talk about a cluster
You
of
see
3 contusions measuring 1 to 2 centimeters present on the lower left abdomen above the inguinal region. Was this done
Off
with,
the belly button.
can you ascertain what caused these injuries?
It's just some kind of blunt trauma, and I can't really tell exact mechanism how it happened, but there is some trauma.
Thank you.
The spring sale event is going on now at Ancira Nissan on IH-10 West. Lease this Sentra S for $218 per month for 18 months, or lease this Pathfinder SV for $288 per month for 18 months. Buy from Ancira, get 4 passes to Six Flags
I
Fiesta
apologize.
Texas and the Kid Flash Cosmic Coaster. Come by and see us today or check us out at AnciraNissanSA.com. That's Ancira Nissan, I-10 West between Wurzbach and Heidner.
You talk about her fingers being swollen. What is that from? Was there an obvious injury there, or why would
No, what it is, it's an injury, but the tissue is reacting to the hand, and it's the swelling is common in injury.
even post-mortem?
Well, it's around the time of death, so yeah, I can still observe it.
But it was observable, that's the.
Yes.
Thank you. Her arms had several different kinds of contusions, is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
Now, don't forget, this woman is questioning this witness to defend her client. Mhm.
There was no evidence of sexual assault, am I correct?
I did completed the examination and collected trace evidence. I'm not sure if it was submitted, but based on my exam, I examined the inside of the anal canal, vaginal canal. I did not see any tears or trauma.
At any point did you examine her throat?
Yes, inside, yes.
Did you see anything there?
But no, I could not see anything.
There was an allegation against the mother in her indictment that she had shoved a utensil down her throat. Did you observe any injuries from that?
I mean, not at the time of death, no, there was no evidence of trauma.
Inside her throat?
That's right.
The child, did you know the child had asthma? Was that obvious to you?
I looked for signs, but I did not see anything
You did not.
obvious in the body, nothing in the body.
Typically, if a person came before you and had asthma, is that something you would notice right off the bat, or you'd have to look further?
No, because asthma, remember, they don't come to medical examiner. It's a treatable condition. And we have signs of asthmatic attack when they go to hospital. Typically, they tell us what happened. And we can already know what to look for. In this case, that was not obvious.
But have you seen deaths from a bad reaction to asthma?
Oh, yes, yeah.
You did a full dissection of Mercedes' back, is that correct?
I examined, yes.
It says a full dissection of the back.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I've seen autopsies on television, forgive my lack of knowledge. Do you turn the child over to examine the back, or?
Correct. Yes, we have to.
Okay. And
No,
you cut
but
the back
X-ray
as well?
Yes, yes.
Specifically, what did you observe that could have caused her death?
Well, I mean, like I said, all the injuries in the back, like around the buttocks, there were blood seeping into the deep tissues, which indicates the injuries I observed on the top went a little bit to the bottom. But again, these are only skin and soft tissue injuries. And that is not the immediate cause of death, but it can contribute to the death based on the severity and the distribution in a small child.
There were, from reviewing your report, it said there was no evidence of skull fractures.
That's right.
The hyoid bone, where is that?
Hyoid bone is a U-shaped bone, especially in a child. It's in the neck. And it's very flexible, very soft and thin in a child.
And you said that the hyoid and larynx are intact.
Yes.
The hyoid bone was dissected and there was no evidence of trauma.
That means that there was no
The airway
strangulation.
is patent and unremarkable.
Yes.
Means that it's
Did
normal.
you notice subsequent, or rather, excuse me, before this, is it fair to say that you did not see the ER charge nurse's report?
We look into it, but we don't look into that much detail because I have the body in front, and if necessary, I'll go back and read.
If the charge nurse had said that he removed food from the child's windpipe area, would that have affected anything that you looked at?
Well, the thing is, we need to know, is it really significant? Because there is stance of terminal aspiration, meaning if somebody is in the process of dying and the breathing kind of is not normal and sometimes
So, as we explained yesterday when the chief medical examiner was testifying, the difference between asphyxiation and terminal asphyxiation is the fact that terminal asphyxiation prevents the body's normal reflexes to cough and expel that, whether it be food or liquid, any particles to go down into the lungs. So you lose that automatic reflex if it's in the process of dying, which is called terminal asphyxiation. So, or aspiration, sorry. When you aspirate on something, it's like, you've had a mouthful of coffee and it goes down the wrong way and you have a big cough and that generally gets rid of it. So when they did the autopsy, they only found minimal bits and pieces in Mercedes's lungs, and it was just put down to terminal asphyxiation, which is what he's explaining now.
can get aspirated. So it's, we have seen that before. That's not the sole cause of death.
But it could be.
It only if it is significant, like a big chunk of meat, and then that needs to have evidence, like somebody saw somebody choking and went blue and then suddenly died, not slowly deteriorating. So it's a different scenario.
Mix it up with delicious Lemnos feta and halloumi. Tap for a range of recipe inspiration.
When you observed this autopsy of Mercedes, could you determine whether it was a sudden death or
it did not seem to be based on the scenario presented. It seems like the patient or the child was deteriorating for a while.
Stomach and intestines. It says the stomach is distended with large amounts of partially digested food material, which consists of partially digested fragments of what appears to be thin, white, noodle-like material along with soft white material. Is that something very unusual or not unusual?
Not unusual, it just depends on what they ate.
Were you able to determine what the actual food was?
No.
Just noodle-like.
Yes.
Thank you. You tested for COVID.
Yes.
And why was that?
Maybe at the time,
I don't know.
just to rule out if anything else was going on.
Did you actually read this document before you got him on the stand?
I noticed in your microscopic examination of the lungs that the alveoli were slightly dilated, and there were scattered minute elongated foreign material in the alveoli under polarized light. Could that have been the noodles?
No, I think it's probably over time, something in the food, what she ate could have been there.
Was that the noodles? Kidney strength.
There's a whopper of a word here, Eosinophilic. Would you pronounce that?
Yeah, eosinophilic.
Eosinophilic infiltration. No evidence of that?
Yes, what it is I'm describing,
Don't know what it means.
those are signs
Don't
of
know what
asthma.
Is any evidence of it?
And I didn't see any acute signs of asthma attack. So I'm saying a negative finding.
Mucus, well, there's also no mucus plugs or thickened bronchial muscles, correct?
Yes, so again, those are also signs of asthma.
It said that there was a decalcified medial end of the clavicle. What does that mean?
What it is I took a small segment of collarbone, and then you can't cut the bone, so you have to thin it out, and then look under the microscope just to make sure that there is no problem with the bones. It's not a brittle bones or anything which can fracture. So documenting a normal finding, just to be thorough.
There was a comment here that healing abrasion of the skin, crater-like ulceration of dermis. What does that mean?
I took a section of the trauma or the scrape, which looked like old, and I want to confirm it, and it confirmed that it's an old skin lesion.
Again, couldn't we ascertain the cause?
Well, it's trauma.
The tubules, where are they?
That's in the kidney.
There's evidence of necrosis in the kidney.
The kidney under a microscope, the tubules are the small tubes which collect transport the urine, and those under the microscope showed evidence of damage, meaning the kidney is failing.
They failed prior to her death, or?
It's not functioning.
But was this prior to her death, or?
This is around the time of death.
Around the time. Is that unusual?
Yes, it should not be there.
How would it get there? If you know.
I'm sorry.
I'll repeat your question.
How would that get there? The necrosis?
So the damage is caused in this condition by the products of the muscle being broken down by repeated trauma, and the kidney is a filtering organ, so it can't handle the load and shutting down.
Ice break. Choose your strength. Ice break. Real coffee recharge. Ice break. Bring it on.
Okay, we're almost through. Excuse me. The findings. multiple blunt force injuries of the body, and they're extensive. Evidence of rhabdomyolysis. Would you explain rhabdomyolysis, please?
Yes, yeah. So the word rhabdo means muscle in Latin, and lysis is breakdown. So what's happening is due to the repeated trauma to the body, whatever injuries you see on the skin is affecting the muscles underneath. And the muscles over time break down, and the small molecules of the muscle get to the bloodstream and to the kidney, and then eventually everything shuts down.
Are you able to quantify?
No.
You're not able to quantify the degree to which they've broken down?
No, I can't quantify it.
Is there a test that would quantify it?
No, I mean, we are even lucky to detect this stain in the kidney, which detected it, so that's the best we can do.
But there's no definitive determination about this, is there?
I mean, that is what it is, and then we know that based on the circumstances of the death, the extensive injuries of the death on the body, that it's resulted of trauma.
You said the circumstances of the death. When you
Yes.
performed this, were you aware of circumstances of this death?
After the autopsy, yes.
At this point, when you wrote these forms after the autopsy, not during,
Yes.
is that correct?
Yes, we have to wait for all the evidence, talk to the investigating police agency, and then I have to come to a conclusion after.
People can survive rhabdo. Can I use the shortened term rhabdo? They can
Yes,
survive.
if you are made to hospital in the right time, not in the end stage, yes.
The testimony indicates that she was brought to the hospital with no life signs.
I think she was pretty much collapsed.
Now, which muscle was it that caused her death?
Well,
What?
well, we can say which one. It's just general all over the body.
Well, you have muscles in your legs. Was it the muscles in her legs that caused her death?
Any muscle.
Any muscle could cause her death?
No, here in this particular case, the breakdown is the solution of muscles.
The breakdown of what?
Of the muscle, any part of the body.
So if just your leg muscles broke down, that would kill you?
No, not just alone. The extent of the injury and over a period of time, it just adds up.
But at some point, there's this specific muscle that'll cause the death, right?
No,
No,
it's a combination of
All
them.
right, just one moment. All right, what is your objection?
Object to leading and also object to asking answers.
Sustained.
I object to stupidity. And just for that,
He should off you fuck.
come on, Dr. Cannon, you tell her.
It's fair to say that you don't know specifically which muscle broke down to cause her death.
Oh,
No, we
That's the
can't
thing.
say.
Asshole.
So could you have been wrong with that?
I'm sorry.
Could you have been wrong in your analysis?
Object to argument.
No.
then.
All right, that'll be overruled.
could you have been
No, I'm not
wrong?
wrong.
Here's the thing, asshole.
He's the specialist. He's the medical examiner. Calm, Jody.
It's just my opinion, and we agreed with the other doctors. It was quality control analyzed, so we had a discussion, so it's not just my opinion alone.
Yeah. He's doing a far better
And
job.
nobody else was able to determine which muscle it was. that?
No, I don't think anybody can. That's not how it works.
Well, it's kind of important to be specific here.
No, I mean, as a doctor, we can only do so much.
Now, you notice that she was reported to have weakness and altered mental status for a few days. Who reported that? Do you know?
It's probably hospital as well as the law enforcement agency.
Where would they have gotten their information?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Who would have known prior to her death?
Speculation.
The hospital,
Who was taking care?
whoever was taking care, yes.
Yeah.
Or not taking care, as the case may be.
Object to
Yeah.
sidebar.
Sustained.
Reportedly, it says that the decedent was reported to have weakness and altered mental status for a few days and was terminally witnessed to collapse suddenly and went unresponsive while being fed. Witnessed to collapse.
Your Honor, I object to her reading the document that's not in evidence.
Sustained.
So she ignores her and just keeps reading.
You can ask your next question.
I'm considering, Your Honor.
I'm considering catching flies with your mouth open like that.
Now, you have a fact here that there was evidence of terminal aspiration. What was that evidence?
Just like the food particles, a little bit of microscopic evidence of possible in the lung alveoli.
Move on. She didn't choke.
In your report, you indicate that asphyxiation could not be ruled out. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do.
Would this be evidenced by the terminal aspiration?
No, there's nothing to do with that.
What does it have to do with, Your Honor? I'm judge. No, doctor, excuse me.
Oh, because if Your Honor, then judge, then doctor.
Well, I mean, so I did receive information from the law enforcement agency that in the past, there was evidence of loss of consciousness due to the nose and mouth being covered, and that is a form of asphyxia. So what I'm trying to imply is if it happened in the past, I can definitely rule out that happened at the end.
You have a note here, as per the investigating police agency. And who was that?
The San Antonio police.
I subpoenaed, in addition to subpoenaing you, I subpoenaed the police records and medical records.
Object, Your Honor.
Sustained.
What I subpoenaed was not provided.
All right, you need counsel. You need to ask the question. We're not here about your subpoena. You need to ask a specific question. State's objection will be sustained. Ask your question.
Did you receive any written medical reports?
Yeah, I probably reviewed medical reports as well as police reports.
Do you have the whole file in front of you there?
No, not the file, no.
Do you have your bench notes?
He's not there to
No,
testify
I
that.
don't. I have my report, which is
Only his
the
own.
permanent record.
But you do make bench notes during the course of an autopsy, don't you?
Yes, that's for transcription purposes only.
Do you recall any particular notes that you might have made that were not provided?
Oh,
No, I mean, anything important or relevant, significant will be in my report.
I'm sorry, significant what?
Information will be in my report.
You have a notice here that the investigating police agency in the past before death, the decedent was made to hold heavy objects and outstretched arms, and the upper extremities were strapped to a pole with bandage to hold them outwards. Do you remember where you got that information?
From the police agency.
And you have no idea where they got that information?
Object
No.
to relevance.
Sustained.
oh no. This has got to be the worst example of lawyering that I have ever witnessed in my life, ever, and that's a big call.
There's a report here that the decedent was witness to suffer asphyxial events in the past. Again, that's only from police reports, not from your personal knowledge. Is that correct?
Not from my personal knowledge, no.
Noted in his report.
Why did you say that asphyxia could not be ruled out?
Object to ask and answer.
That'll be overruled.
About 5 times.
You can answer.
Well, what it is in the child with extensive trauma and with prior history of trauma, and especially with the history of asphyxial event in the past, I cannot for sure rule out the same happen and end.
If her bronchial, if her windpipe was blocked, could that have been a cause of death?
Yeah.
Like I said, that is a very specific event. They need to have those specific findings, and the terminal circumstances should indicate that without any prior trauma or any injuries on the body, then it's a different scenario. So it's case by case basis, and that's not what happened here.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yeah, he's on Zoom.
He's on Zoom.
Okay, she's on
Can she approach?
I meant the court reporter, Your Honor, I'm sorry.
Yes, you may approach the court reporter.
Dr. Kannon, do you have the investigative report and autopsy report in front of you?
I have the autopsy report.
And what is the case number on your report, which is different?
It's 2022-0365.
It's just being led by her co-counsel.
All right, so here's my question. Is she seeking to admit that into evidence?
Yes.
Or is there going to be any objections to that being submitted into evidence?
Your Honor, I object to the state of it. It does have highlights, which.
All right, does anyone have a clean copy?
I can print one off the container.
Good on you. Good on you, Mr. Organised prosecution team, and not this clusterfuck over here. I watch carefully the co-counsel's glasses. The reflection of his laptop is blue, and it looks like he's got blue laser eyes. Every so often. This one looks like she shouldn't be doing the job anymore. Trying to be politically correct there. God, dropping everything all over the floor.
Dr. Kannon, do you remember how many autopsies that you performed a year while you were here in San Antonio?
How many each year?
I'm sorry?
Is it per year or?
When you were here in San Antonio for that year.
Yeah, the printer printing off.
I don't know, probably more than 200.
You're familiar with Dr. Taneo, Vincent Taneo?
Yeah, I trained under him.
Object to relevance.
Overruled.
He said in his book,
Object to the counsel testimony.
Sustained.
if he were to say in his book that more than 230 autopsies a year is too much, and it can't be accurate, would that be true?
Object to relevance.
That'll be overruled.
Object to hearsay.
All right, that'll be overruled. You can answer the question if you can answer.
Yeah, I mean, that's just an arbitrary number set by the National Association of Medical Examiners.
Yes.
they don't want HME to go more than 250 autopsies. That's just a number.
Just a number. It doesn't, in your opinion, does it indicate that there's not as much accuracy in those kind of cases beyond that?
I mean, there are some offices, they have to do more than that, but ideally it should be below that.
All right, just one moment. Mr. Munoz, would you state, are you going to have any objection to, it appears they want to enter an exhibit?
I don't have an objection.
All right, what exhibit number is that?
Defense exhibit number 2, Your Honor.
All right, any objection to defense exhibit number 2?
No.
And for the record, what exactly is defense exhibit number 2?
It's the investigative report of the medical examiner's office and the autopsy report.
All right, defense exhibit number 2 is admitted into evidence.
Thank you, Your Honor.
It's just the autopsy. But for clarification, Your Honor, it is just the autopsy report here labeled as defense exhibit number 2.
All right, that is admitted without objection.
May I approach the report?
Yes.
I
Just have to point you.
All right, ask your next question.
Just a moment, Your Honor. Your Honor, this is the second half of my exhibit that state objected to because there were markings on it. Thank you. This is still exhibit D. I'm sorry, D2.
All right, y'all want to label that as defense exhibit number 3? State, are you going to have any objection to defense exhibit number 3?
Oh, this is 3.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, and what is, for the record, what is defense exhibit number 3?
Defense exhibit number 3 is the investigative report, the one that was sent in, when I cross-examined the doctor.
Stop, counsel. My question was, what is defense exhibit number 3?
The investigative report.
Any objection, state, for defense exhibit number 3 being admitted?
No.
All right, defense exhibit number 3 is admitted without objection.
Thank you. I'll cast the witness.
I warned
All right,
you.
state.
Okay, good morning, Dr. Cannon.
Good morning.
And I think we skipped introductions. You are now the Chief Medical Examiner in Nueces County, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, I
Introduce him.
When did you leave Bexar County?
left Bear County, September of 2022.
Okay. Now, you mentioned earlier that this was a complicated case, correct?
Yes,
And you did the autopsy and then you looked at other evidence and you said you collaborated with other physicians?
yes.
Okay. And is it common in a case like Mercedez that it actually took a couple months to get the report back?
Oh, yes, because you have to put all the evidence in. When you don't have any one big diagnosis on the day of autopsy, we need to hold on and put everything together and make sure we have everything.
Okay. Now, I'm just going to go through some of the things you talked about to kind of solidify. So it is your testimony that the lip, based on the location and the state of it, that it was definitely from outside trauma, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, there was some question about, well, can this happen post-mortem? Isn't it true that living processes that like swelling and temperature control, they stop when you die, correct?
Yeah, I mean, tissue reacts different after trauma, and I could differentiate postmortem trauma versus trauma happened before because we are experts in interpreting trauma.
Okay. Now, you said there was no evidence of sexual assault. However, you did notate that she had a dilated anus, correct?
Yes, that is the outside part, but I didn't really know what to make of it.
Okay. And then you said there was no evidence of any trauma to her throat, correct?
No trauma.
And you mentioned a couple examinations for asthma. What were those?
First of all, when we open the airway, we are going to see some like mucus or like a slimy plugs obstructing the airway. I didn't see that. And also under the microscopic section, I did not see evidence of asthma.
Okay, so there was no physical evidence that she would have been having an asthma attack.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. The hyoid bone, that's something that is usually looked at if there's a suspicion of, say, suffocation by the neck, correct? Or strangulation, I should say.
Yeah, strangulation, manual, we see that, and I don't think there is anything evidence of that here, no.
Okay, so if the medical history and what witnesses have said is that the defendant, Jose Ruiz, would put his hand over her mouth and his hand
Objection,
over
Your
her
Honor.
nose.
Stating a fact not presented.
If the witnesses said that he would put his hand over her mouth and hand over her nose to restrict her airways, that would not impact the hyoid bone, correct?
No, that's way higher up. It will not show evidence higher.
Okay. And I just wanted to make this clear because this phrase terminal aspiration has been thrown around a lot. That means that the aspiration happened while somebody is already dying, correct?
In the process of dying, yes. That's nothing to do with the cause of death.
Okay. And rhabdomyolysis was something that was absolutely confirmed in Mercedes' case, correct?
Yes, we confirmed it by microscopic evidence, and we confirmed with the other doctors. Multiple eyes looked at it, yes.
And you testified that rhabdo can be caused when the muscles suffer trauma, but it can also be caused from extreme exertion as well, correct?
Yes, it can, and those can be corrected if taken to the hospital immediately. And whereas here it looks like it's happened over time.
Yes, and independently, trauma such as Mercedes could cause rhabdo, correct?
Yes, it can, yes.
But then also, if you had a 5-year-old like Mercedes who was forced to hold objects for 3-4 hours at a time over a 2 or 3 week long period, that would also explain rhabdo as well, wouldn't it?
Yes, because you're using muscles over a long period of time. It can happen, yes.
So in Mercedes' case, where she has extensive injuries and there's evidence of long-term exertion of her muscles, it makes sense that she has rhabdo, doesn't it?
It adds up all those scenarios.
And you would agree that rhabdo is treatable if taken responsibly when they start showing symptoms, correct?
Yeah, early stages, yes.
However, it does pose a substantial risk of death.
Well, especially in a thin individual and young child, they don't have much risk, so.
Yeah. And when you say especially in a young child, what makes them more susceptible?
Well, in medicine, young and old are similar. They don't have like a well-developed adult, so they're vulnerable to disease.
Okay. So Mercedes, being a 5-year-old, was more vulnerable to being abused, basically.
Well, I mean, that's a general statement, but.
Understood. I'll retract that question. Now, asphyxia. When someone dies of asphyxia, would you consider that to be a sudden death?
It depends on the mechanism. If somebody's holding the airway obstruction like nose and mouth, it still takes some effort to do that.
Okay. Would you expect somebody who has asphyxia to then vomit and start talking before they die?
No, I mean, if that is the cause of death, they should die as a result of that.
Okay, so asphyxia would happen and then they should die after that without gaining
If
consciousness.
that is the only trauma, and then that is the end of it, yes.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Kannon. I'll pass the witness.
I'm sorry, doctor, I'm confusing you, but I respect you, and that's why I'm calling you your honor. Mrs. Mitchell mentioned to you, she used the word absolutely to determine that it was rhabdo. Would you have used that word absolutely?
No, I mean, we are positive.
We are positive, but that's
Yes,
not absolutely.
I wouldn't say absolutely, no.
I have a hypothetical. If someone was watching and saw someone jamming food down Mercedes' throat, and then Mercedes vomiting it out, trying to get rid of it, and that person were to jam a spoon down Mercedes' throat, and Mercedes then fell on the floor and had no breath, would that affect you at all if that was evidence put in front of you?
No, I mean, that mechanism doesn't sound right in this particular case. That doesn't fit the story.
What story?
Of the findings I see in the body.
But if you had been presented with that fact before you did all this, would that make a difference?
Well, even if it's presented, I would research into it, look into it. Like I said, it sounds like a choking, that which I have investigated many. We would particularly look into that, and I don't think there is any evidence of that here.
There was no evidence that you searched into it either, was that correct?
I do not think that happened here because there was no facts presented to me, and then I did not see any evidence of that.
That's the point. No facts were presented to you about that. But if facts like this had been presented to you, would you have done your autopsy differently?
No, I mean, it wouldn't be any different. I would still do the same. And like I say, each case is different. Each scenario is different. Did that really happen in the case question?
And again, it's impossible to say which muscles broke down.
And there is only one.
I'm alive. Just kidding. I'm dead inside, emotionally. But that's neither here nor there. There's still only one cure for hungry, thirsty, and that's Oak. With its full strength and full taste, it's full on. Oh, Oak. Kill hungry, thirsty, dead.
No, man, we just say general because the test doesn't say which muscle did it.
It's not very precise though, is it?
No, I mean, it's not supposed to be precise. It's just to diagnose a breakdown.
Why isn't it supposed to be precise?
Because there's not particular a stain or a test which can distinguish each muscle. The skeletal muscles in the body are all the same. So,
And there's no way to quantitate.
no, we can't quantify them.
It sounds very vague to me.
You know what? You sound more
Wasn't
than vague to me.
I mean, it's a phenomenon, and it's a known phenomenon, and we found evidence of it. So,
But it also fits the narrative of the very badly damaged little baby's body, right?
It's not a narrative.
I'm sorry, damage.
Evidence presented.
It fits your narrative.
Objection, argument.
Have a narrative.
Would you have been able to diagnose this as rhabdo immediately after the autopsy, or did you have to talk about it with your colleagues?
no, not immediately. We have to talk about it.
So you weren't able to determine immediately that rhabdo was the cause of death?
No, not immediately, no.
Ask the witness.
No further questions, John.
All right, is this witness
Oh,
He's
Lord.
excused and not subject to recall.
All right. The rule has been invoked, Dr. Kannon. You're not allowed to discuss your testimony with anyone except for the state of the defense.
It was really, really
And
hard.
thank you,
I appreciate it.
thank you. And like,
I don't suffer fools
All right.
gladly. And
If you all will bring out Miss Mendoza.
it only gets worse.
Yes, Your Honor, call the district clerk.
He was here, Todd. He was here, I don't guess it was.
No, well, is the district clerk in the back?
It's understanding it's in the hallway, Your Honor.
All right, let's bring in the district clerk. Just one moment. And Deputy Moore, if you could.
So what they've done now is they wanted to call the mother back, Katrina Mendoza, but because she has taken a plea deal with the prosecution, she has to have her attorney with her. So now they have to wait for the attorney to arrive so that Katrina can re-testify. So then they go to call their next witness, which is the district clerk, who they've subpoenaed some records from, and that's who he's gone to look for now. But in the meantime, there is no organisation, there is no rhyme nor reason to her defence strategy or anything. It is an absolute shit show. And yeah, I don't know, maybe, what's the old saying? You pay peanuts, you get monkeys.
To see if Tom the train's back.
So now they're trying to find and scrabble around as to who can get on the stand. Okay, so the next witness, they actually do find the district records clerk. Her name is Donny Gonzales, and
Hello. Will you take a seat here, please?
yeah, I'll let you watch this and make your own interpretations, because I have opinions and I probably shouldn't voice them. Not about the witness, about co-counsel, about counsel.
Testimony we give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God. All right, you can lower your hand. Make sure you keep your voice up for members of the jury and the court reporter. If you'll state your name for the record.
Donny Gonzales.
Ms. Donny, my name is Teresa Conley. Good morning. Can you bring the records that you have for Jose
Wait for it.
Angel Ruiz and Katrina Mendoza?
Your Honor, at this time, the state's going to object to the relevance of this witness and to ask for a voir dire outside the presence of the jury.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to see you in the back briefly. Remember my previous instructions. Everyone, please rise to the
What are you smiling at?
All right, Todd, into the clerk next because you have left. But after this witness, you'll be next.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, everyone, please be seated. All right, stage, want to take a witness on board here?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you may proceed.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What records were you requested to bring in?
Listening.
On the subpoena.
Now, this is the subpoena that she was sent from the defense counsel to Teresa Connolly. This is her subpoena. It is her witness. Okay? Keep that in mind.
Indictments or charging instruments for Jose Ruiz and Katrina Mendoza.
What did you bring with you, if anything?
None.
Why not?
There are no indictments.
Oh,
Sorry, Donnie, what was that?
There are no indictments.
Are you
In regards to related to murder or capital murder charges.
Oh,
Is that the sole offense
so
that you-
she has subpoenaed records from this district records clerk for any prior murder convictions or charges for Jose or for Katrina Mendoza. Now, if there were any previous records, don't you think they would be in jail? So essentially, this witness couldn't provide anything because there are none.
You were requested to come and testify, correct?
Yes.
Ask the witness, Your Honor.
No questions.
Your Honor,
No questions. No questions.
exactly, there's no relevance.
It's relevant as to what they've been charged. This is a capital murder case. It's a child under 10. She's
No, this
murdered.
is not a capital murder case.
It's not charged as a capital murder case, but under Texas law, murder of a child under 10 is capital murder. And Ms. Donny is just saying that there is no record of a charge of capital murder or even of murder in this case.
That would be written.
That's relevant to my case.
Your Honor, we would say that this is not relevant. Further, the witnesses or the jury knows what the indictment is. It was read to them, and defense counsel read the entirety of Ms. Mendoza's charge. They are aware that there is no murder charge, and this is not relevant.
All right, state's objection to this witness is going to be sustained. The court is finding that her testimony is not relevant. The court is basing that decision on the indictment that is before the court and the indictment that was read when the accused entered his plea of not guilty. In that indictment, there's no listing of a murder or capital murder. So you're excused.
Thank you, Donny.
All right,
Thank you, Ms. Donny.
Pardon?
I just said thank you to Ms. Donny.
All right, if you'll bring out Ms. Mendoza.
Okay, can I bring the jurors out? Because she's,
Yes.
okay. Bring the jurors first and I'll go get her.
Okay. Mr. Todd McCray, where are you? Okay.
Veronica, can we have a break, a bathroom break? Rest break, whatever you want to call it.
5 minutes.
Yeah, me too.
Can you let her know it's 5 minutes?
Yeah. I think I need a 5-minute bathroom break and all after listening to that. Okay, so now we proceed with worse today than it was yesterday, and I have. So we recalled Katrina Mendoza, who is Mercedes' mother.
When was the last time that you actually lived with Jose on help?
During the month of January in 2020, 21 or 22.
You don't know for sure?
No, I don't know for sure.
Were you living with him on January 13th,
Of what year?
2022?
I think so, yes.
She's already testified to
Did you
this.
send him texts if you were living in the same house with him?
Yeah, do that all the time.
Yes.
And you're just sitting there reading off
Do you
what?
recall a text where you were complaining about you couldn't take much more of Mercedes? Do you remember writing a text like that?
Yes, probably.
Do you remember telling him that?
I'm going to object to reading from items not in evidence.
Did you ever tell him
Puts
that
it down
you were,
for about 30
that you
seconds
made
and
Mercedes?
then brings it back up again.
Again, there is no objection.
All right, let me hear the question. Did you ever tell him that you made Mercedes in timeout hold her arms up for 2 days in a row?
No.
Did you ever tell him that you couldn't
Right
have her
up
with you
again.
much longer because you were afraid of what you might do?
No.
What was your phone number?
I don't remember.
She didn't have a phone.
Could it have been 210-551-0891?
I'm going to object to reading. I'm not sure.
Yep. Just reading
You
straight
said
up.
that
document.
at any time, if I'm either going to live with my stepfather or whatever, I'm sorry, whatever he was called, and your biological father. Do you remember ever saying that to him?
Can you repeat the question?
Do you remember ever saying to Jose that you were going to find a different place to live?
No.
That you were deciding between your your godfather and your biological father?
I don't remember.
Did you ever tell him that you had to get a stable place to get the children in school?
Yes.
So they really weren't in school in January or February of 2022. Is that correct?
No, they were enrolled.
They were where?
They were enrolled.
Where?
I don't know the name of the school.
Did they attend that school at all in January?
I can't remember.
She's testified to this already.
Two.
Was Mercedes in school at all?
Yes.
Where?
I can't remember the name of the school.
Was she in a school or was she in a daycare?
School.
Was it a free school or was it a paid
Oh.
school?
Here's the thing, asshole.
You're wasting everybody's time.
Irrelevant.
It was a free school.
In order to get her into that school, do you remember what address you might have used?
1106 Caspian Point.
I'm sorry, 1106.
Caspian Point.
And where was that?
By Warbach and Fortin.
And who lived there?
My godfather, my godsister, my two little brothers, and my godsister's husband.
And you too, is that right?
And me and my kids, yes.
So they only went to that school when you were staying at that house, is that true?
Yes, ma'am.
On January 12th, 13th of 2022, do you recall telling Jose that you had Mercedes hold her arms in the air for 2 days in a row? When she got up the next morning, it started 2 full days. Do you remember telling him that?
No.
So if it's in an email, it must be a mistake.
I'm not sure. I don't remember saying that.
You were saying that Jose beat your child to death about 3 weeks before her death. Do you remember that?
What I meant was his abuse caused her death, yes.
It couldn't have been the abuse that you caused on January 13th of 2022.
No.
What did you do to your child that day? Do you remember?
No.
If you have a text that says you did something, did you lie in texts?
Sometimes I would lie to Jose about what I was doing just to avoid an argument.
Weren't expecting that, were ya? Oh dear. Oh crap, I just shot myself in the foot. Oops. Pass the witness.
Pass the witness.
Oh!
You should off you fuck.
Oh. Okay, so this is still
Katrina,
number
for what
4
purpose would you lie to Jose about what you were doing with Mercedes?
of 5.
Because he would get angry if I treated her a certain way, so I knew what he wanted to hear, so sometimes I would just tell him what he wanted to hear to avoid an argument or to get physical altercations or just to avoid an argument.
That's certainly understandable. It doesn't.
That I was punishing Mercedes in any type of way.
And you just testified you were living with your godfather, that's Homer, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but on January 21st of 2022, there was an altercation and you moved out, correct?
Yeah, around there, yes.
Okay, and prior to you leaving Homer's home, Mercedes the day before had gone with Jose.
Yes.
And there was testimony, and defense asked you questions about that you had said that Jose had beat Mercedes 3 weeks prior to her death. Isn't it true that you're actually meaning he beat her for the 3 weeks, prior to her death?
Yes, that's exactly what I mean.
Not just 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Pass the witness.
3 weeks, the 3 weeks prior to her death, you testified on my direct examination that he hadn't seen the children for 2 days before her death. Was that a lie?
No.
Can you ask again?
You testified on my direct examination that Jose had not seen the children for 2 days, 2 full days prior to her death.
Yes, that's true.
It is true. Definitely didn't see them. And at that point, say the 3rd day, where were you living?
I was staying with Jeanette.
Staying with Jeanette. What kind of an altercation was it that you had at your godparents' home that you left?
We got into it because Jordan was playing with one of my little brothers, and I got upset for some reason. I don't remember, but I confronted my godfather, Homer, about it, and he kind of didn't want to get after his son for, I think they were fighting over something, him, Jordan and my little brother. And I told my godfather, and he didn't really he kind of just pushed it to the side. He didn't address his son about it. So I got upset, and my godfather kind of pushed me. And so.
I'm sorry, he physically pushed you?
Yes.
Where were you when this happened? Were you in his house when this happened?
Yes.
What part of the house?
I'm going to object to relevance.
You say he pushed you. He took his hand and threw it against your body. Is that right?
I'm going to object to relevance and ask and answers.
How did he push you?
Object to relevance.
Isn't it true that the fight was really about how badly you were treating Mercedes and they had gotten sick of it?
No.
Isn't it true that on the 21st, when this supposedly happened, that the CPS worker had been to your house there?
Object to leading.
No.
What day was she there?
I don't remember, but it wasn't the day before we left.
But it was around then, wasn't it?
About maybe 2 weeks before we left.
2 weeks before you left.
There's a huge range of value when you're with Origin. Get a stack of everyday rewards.
What are we talking about in terms of time here? You left on the 21st?
No, I believe I left on the 22nd.
22nd. And if the witness testified that it was the 21st of the last appointment, that would be a mistake. Is that right?
I'm not sure. I don't really remember, so I could be wrong.
In the course of this testimony, you've remembered some things very clearly and other things not at all.
I'm going to object to argumentative.
Overruled. Ask your question.
Overruled your
Ask your question.
Can she answer that? If you overruled
Yeah,
it?
ask your question, and she'll answer it if she can.
I'm sorry, Ms. Diana, would you mind reading it back?
In the course of this testimony, you remembered some things very clearly and other things not at all.
Thank you. Why is that?
Not a question.
Because it's been 2 years.
3 years?
2.
2 years. And is there anything else more significant in your life than something like this that you would forget it?
There's just some things that I don't remember.
That you don't want to answer or that you don't remember?
That I don't remember.
Your Honor, I'd like to show the witness testimony of her daughter, Jordan. I need help with the state putting it on.
No, you just sit there and let everyone else do their job for you. Do your job for you. Look it up.
They're grabbing it.
Ask your question as it relates to this exhibit. What question do you have of her?
I have to put it on, Your Honor. I wanted to say it and then I'll ask.
All right, no, that's not how it works. If everybody could approach.
Okay. I'm pretty sure that the judge excuses her after that and she doesn't testify any further. And we go on to the very last defense witness, which is the paediatrician. So they've subpoenaed the paediatrician that was caring for Mercedes and Jordan. And her name is Veronica.
Speaking to the microphones.
Dr.
Veronica
Zamora.
Yes, that's correct.
And are you a member of a practice?
Yes, I am.
How many doctors are there?
We have 4 providers.
Currently, when did you first treat Mercedes Lasoya?
I treated Mercedes on September 21, 2017.
Were you the first person to treat her?
That is correct.
And after that time, did you treat her or were other doctors in your practice treating her?
The other providers treated her.
If you were to treat Mercedes today, and you can't because she's dead, but if you were, would you be referring to those records before you dealt with the child?
Yes, yes, I would.
Is that a common practice?
So inappropriate.
To refer to the record when we treat our patient? Yes.
Yes. Okay. Did your records indicate that there were appointments that the child did not show up for?
Yes.
Can you tell us which dates the child did not show up for appointments?
May 3rd, 2018. September 5th. No, correction. That's an error. November 15th, 2018. March 5th, 2019. July 9th, 2019. April 27th, 2020. August 11th, 2020. March 10th, 2021. And July 23rd, 2021.
Okay. Do your records indicate why the child did not show up?
I'm gonna object. Calls for speculation and hearsay.
All right, if you know, you can answer the question.
No indication. No indication on the record why they did not show up.
Thank you. Do you have a diagnosis in your records for the disease of asthma?
Yes.
And does it notice in your records when the child was first diagnosed with asthma?
At 1. She was 1. And the relevance here is what?
Her Mother's
Asthma
history,
wasn't-
August of 2017.
2017. So,
wasn't attributable to the cause of death at all.
what was the regime that was recommended to the parent to care for the child with asthma?
So you might be attacking the credibility of the witness, but that's about all.
In which visit?
Mother, sorry.
Whenever. The first time, whenever she first got
And
instructions on how
again,
to
there's
deal with disease.
no real point. She's accepted the plea deal.
According to her I believe it was her March 28, 2018 visit that she received instructions on wheezing, and her medications were initiated. So just can't speak for the physician what they spoke verbally, but they gave her guidance on when to follow up in 1 month.
Did she show up to that visit in 1 month?
No, but she was rescheduled. She was rescheduled like 3 weeks later, 26 days to be exact.
Did she show up for that appointment?
Yes, she did. She did show up at that visit, and then, but she usually had another reason for coming in. Hers was a hand, foot, mouth. She had gone to. She got to the ER. She got to Baptist ER for a rash. And that's when they gave her a breathing treatment. So, yes, they discussed it at those 2 visits.
What kind of medications were prescribed, if any?
Albuterol, which is a bronchodilator, that was an inhaler, and Flovent, which is an inhaled corticosteroid, as a preventative measure for asthma flare-ups.
Do you know if those prescriptions were filled?
No, I do not.
There is, if a child holds her breath with this condition, would that be a voluntary thing more than likely, or?
I'm gonna object, calls for speculation.
All right, you're gonna ask your question, then the court will hear your objection.
Repeat the question?
If a child were to hold her breath with this condition, would it be a result of asthma or just bad temper or what? Can you say?
Speculation.
Unlikely for a 2-year-old to hold her breath willingly.
Even the witness is confused.
Are there any other specific maladies that Mercedes was diagnosed with?
When I saw her specifically, it was just her speech delay. That's throughout all her 7 provider visits. Most of them are well checked. Most of them are about her speech delays and getting referred out for early childhood intervention, speech therapy.
I noticed she missed an appointment in March of the following year when she was a 1-year-old. Up to that point, did she have all her appropriate vaccinations and shots?
I'm gonna object. I'm sorry, doctor. I'm gonna object to relevance.
Sustain.
There's a diagnosis down there and not so much a diagnosis, but a recommendation that she receive cardiovascular care. Which doctor recommended that?
Dr. Sedlick, that was her last visit in the office, April 23rd, 2021.
Is there any indication that she followed up on that with a cardiologist?
We do not have records, but it's not uncommon for us not to receive the records from the specialist.
Did Dr. Settler describe why she was recommending cardiology treatment?
Because she heard a heart murmur on exam.
What does that really mean?
There's an extra sound between your heartbeats. So like love dub, you're gonna have a sound in between or after. So it's an extra sound that we hear and we investigate it. Majority of them are benign, but as a rule, we try to be complete and refer to cardiology just to rule out any other problem.
You have no further information on your file, is that correct?
That is correct.
Yes, witness.
Seat has no questions.
All right, is this witness excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Judge.
All right.
So that is the defense's entire case. all of their witnesses have been called. That is what they've put forward as their defense. I think I could have done a better job than that, but who am I? I am just the defense rests. Nope. All right. So that brings us to the end of the trial. So I'm going to hold you in suspense, and I'm not going to tell you what the verdict is just yet. I want you to post in the comments below just how long you think the jury took to deliberate. Just in half-hour increments. How long they took to deliberate with a decision. And so we will come back for another live stream with the closing arguments and the verdict. Stay tuned. Don't forget, click that like and subscribe, ring that notification bell, and you will know when I am uploading another video or going live. Again, thank you for watching, and we shall see you next time. I'll bid you.